Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. We get together with our distribution partners and now our clients most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and to support each of you. So here today on Friday, September 15th, we're halfway through the month of September. So those of you who are branch offices, this is a great time to pause and reflect. How is my month going? Our goal, our unquestionable goal for all of you, all of our branches, is to generate at least $100,000 per month, including this month in September. So we need to pause and look. Are we on track? Have we generated at least $50,000 as of the halfway point of the month of September? If so, we're on track, obviously. If not, we need to pause and decide what's missing. What do we need to do differently? Do I need leads? Do I need better conversion of leads? What is it that's keeping me from being successful as a branch if you're not? And that's really what we're here to talk about today. Is we're going to have an open forum. We're going to use the Q&A box, question and answer box. It's like a chat box of Zoom. And this is your opportunity to ask the questions, make the comments, express the concerns. Let's figure out what needs to be done to ensure that each of you help at least 8 clients in the month of September, 2 a week on average, which is what you'd promised to do. And if you do that, we should hit that minimum goal of 100,000 for your branch. On the screen, I've shared the Startup Business Funding Package. That is a recent conversation we had. And certainly if you have questions, comments, concerns on that, we can address that as well. But the floor is yours. So go ahead and type into the Q&A questions that you have, comments that you have, concerns, and we'll address them together. All right, so as usual, Timothy has our first question. And so Timothy's question, and I'm here on our website, which of course, as a branch, you wouldn't be driving people to our website, but I'll use it as a reference. Timothy's asking what I thought was kind of obvious, but maybe not to him and maybe not to some of you. Is there a difference between the credit and funding program and the startup package? Are they different or are they the same? Well, they're different. And the focus, it's easily described as this. The Startup Business Funding Package is a turnkey resource to create a credible business for funding, while the Credit and Funding Program is designed to improve the credibility of the business owner. And that is focusing on their 3 C's. So think of it as 2 sides of a coin, heads and tails. So you might have a client that needs help becoming credible individually as a business owner with their credit capacity and or collateral. And so you would bring them into the credit and funding, wouldn't you? In some cases, you'll have clients that they need help having a credible business. And that's where we provide this scope of services for the Startup Business Funding Package. And we're having a lot of interest in this. And so in general, you'll probably lead to the marketplace with the credit and funding program. That's the norm. That's our bread and butter. But as you enroll clients and we go through the process, if you see that they don't have a business or they don't have a credible business, then what you may want to do is introduce this to them. And Brenda's a great example. Brenda's on the training today. She was talking to a number of prospective clients yesterday, and at least one, I think multiple, actually said, yeah, that they needed help. They signed up, they paid her the $2,500. She kept her half, and then the other half comes to us for us to implement. So this can be an add-on, or you could even lead with it, depending upon what you want your outreach campaign to be. Thank you, Timothy, for that question. Next is actually Brenda. She's got a question. Can we do this for nonprofits? And the answer is yes. Brenda also asked, can we do this for more than one entity? The answer is yes. Getting questions on the Chapman Fund, which is here. So the Chapman Fund will loan a minimum of $30,000. That's their floor. Their cap is $250,000. That's their max. Now we could use this as an initial tranche to a larger capital raise, because you'll get some clients that are mad at you. They'll say, "Oh, fine for $250, but I need more. I deserve more. I want more. Give me more." And so we can get them more than $250, just not through the Chapman Fund. Secondly, we will avoid answering questions about interest rates. And I get this asked often. You and I, we are not the lenders, correct? We're technical advisors. You and I, we don't loan any money. So it's not our role to quote what the terms would be from Bank of America, from Wells Fargo, from the Chapman Fund, or anywhere else. Because first, any of those lenders would have to make an offer. And of course, those offers would have terms. The client doesn't have to accept the offers if he or she doesn't like the terms. But you and I must avoid being in a role where we're quoting what the terms would be from a lender, because we're not a lender. If you look down at your business card, I bet it doesn't say lender on there. I bet it doesn't say Chapman Fund or Bank of America or Capital One. So we don't commit to things that we can't control, and we don't know what the terms will be that a given lender will offer a client. We'll have to get them enrolled and find out. If the client doesn't like the terms, then they don't have to accept the offer. Trevor asked a follow-up, can we run multiple companies through the startup business funding package for one client? Yes, and that's kind of similar to the question before. Can one client have more than one company? So the answer is yes to both of those. And Foo's question is almost the same. So yes, we can do this multiple times for multiple. Each business is separate, but one business owner could own multiple businesses. So yeah, I think some of you are maybe thinking about stacking, and you can do that. So we could have 10 companies and from one owner, and all 10 of those companies could enroll and go through this process, of course. All right, Leonard asked, after you turn in packet, well, and I'm going to paraphrase just to make it clearer. Leonard's asking, and he's a branch, what happens once they turn in the packet? Well, let's step back. So what we know is that for you as the branch to bring a complete packet, we need the client agreement, the client payment, the soft pull, and the PFS. We've talked about that many times. Those are the 4 elements of a complete agreement. Then at that point, you're going to help the client fill out the first tranche financing application, which we had a training on earlier this week. You're going to send that into the your funding coordinator that we pay for, and your funding coordinator is going to get offers typically within 24 hours, typically, for your client. And so then your funding coordinator will communicate to you those offers. Also, what's going to happen is our collateral team is going to be putting together the $10,000 portfolio, which comes free for clients that are enrolled in the credit and funding. And they meaning the collateral team, will AJ and his employees will reach out to you to coordinate that handoff, because we don't talk to the clients, we talk to you as the branch, and the branch manages the client relationships. So Leonard, if something doesn't seem to be working correctly, let us know, but that's the process. And then Leonard has a follow-up. He says, if nothing happened with a client file. Well, so you're going to upload, Leonard and branches, you'll upload into the Dropbox, the branch Dropbox that we provide you, the client agreement and the PFS. The soft pull feeds to us automatically, and then you're collecting the money, the payment from the client directly. So yes, you'll upload into the Dropbox both the client agreement and the PFS, but then you'll help the client complete the one-page application. And again, you'll send it to your funding coordinator. Your funding coordinator will get the offers and then reach back out to you in short order to let you know about the offers that the client has received. So hopefully I answered your question or questions, Leonard. Let me know if not. All right, lots of good questions coming in. Next is also from Leonard. If the client's missing something on the package, will they let you know? Well, yes, but I mean, it's 4 things, right? We should all be able to track 4 things. Do we have the agreement? Do we have the payment? Do we have the soft pull? And do we have the PFS? Now, it's possible that you gave the client the soft pull link, and frankly, you don't know if they did it or not because it feeds into us, not to you. So that's a good point. So yes, if it's missing something, we'll let you know. But for our branches, we should be having at least once a week scheduled calls, reviewing all of your client files. Where are they at? What do we need to do? So we can vet through and make sure everyone's on track. Trevor asked, in the credit and funding program, which is over here, if a client enrolls 5 companies, do they pay the setup fee for each? Yes, they pay that to you. And yes, they'll get all 5 will be refundable. So the grant refunds up to $2,000 for the setup fee for every client, even if one person has enrolled in multiple companies or multiple projects. Okay, next, what email do we use to request leads? Okay, so to request leads, just email us at support@guaranteedfunding.org. They will look to make sure that you've sold at least 1 deal to make sure that you're competent and confident in closing deals before they give you a bunch of our hot leads. But yes, if you need leads, email support@guaranteedfunding.org. We have plenty of leads. Ken says some of the bumps in the road for success is technical integration. He says, for example, linking together e-signature software. Yeah. So some of you, and I'm not commenting about Ken, but some of you are more technologically sophisticated than others. Some of you have ran small businesses before. Some of you haven't. Some of you have used e-signature software like DocuSign or Adobe before. Some of you haven't. Some of you have used QuickBooks, and some of you haven't. So with that being said, for many of you, it's just plug and play. This is just a new project that you're running. But if you're not familiar with all of that, then you're right. You may want to bring in someone that has a bit more technological sophistication, if you will. With that being said, it's not uncommon that owners of companies, which you are, that CEOs of companies, which you are, of your branch, aren't experts in all things, right? No one's an expert in everything. So you could certainly bring in administrative help as W-2 staff or 1099 help and supplement where you might have some administrative deficiencies. We have a couple branches that we're having difficulty with that, and we actually are pairing them up with other branches that are more technologically sophisticated. They're kind of converting over to a JV relationship, so they have that back office support. So in summary, if any of you are running into issues with getting your infrastructure set up, let us know, and we could always pair you up with one of our more senior branches that could take you under their wing and assist you, and then you would just split the deals with them or whatever agreements you work out. Ron says lots of training over the last 2 weeks, but he needs more training on lead generation. Well, we've had multiple trainings on lead generation. So I do encourage you, if you all haven't gone to our YouTube channel, which is Business Paralegal, and I've sent this link out specific, but I do encourage those of you that need specialized training, go back and look at our training library. We have several hundred hours worth of training modules, including on a bunch of different ways to generate leads, everything from developing your own affiliate team to working with key influencers to going out and doing workshops to buying leads. So yes, the training is available at your fingertips, Ron. You'll just want to go to the training library, which is hosted on YouTube. All right, Eric asked, when the client liquidates the $100,000 trade line, how much cash do they get? Well, The $100,000 trade line is composed of $100,000 of accounts receivables. So the hope, the goal is to collect $100,000 because that's literally what's owed to them. You have the paper, or the client has the paper, the contracts, the commitments by the debtors, DEBTORS, the debtors, to pay $100,000. Now, do we reasonably think that we'll collect 100 cents on the dollar? Probably not. Probably 50 to 60% is the average, but it depends on a little bit of the luck of the draw about the debtors, and then also varies based upon your approach to collecting that money. I'll give you an example. It's not a real palatable one, but let's just say that one of you are a branch and you don't do what you promised to do. We'll pick on Sylvia for a second, just randomly, and I know Sylvia will perform. But let's say Sylvia signed up as a branch, and she had a 30-day grace period like all branches have, and then she promised to do 2 enrollments a week afterwards, 8 a month. Let's say that Sylvia didn't do that. What would we do? We'd send Sylvia an invoice to say, hey, Sylvia, we offered to defer your $10,000 license fee based on production. You've not done it. You owe it. Let's say that then Sylvia doesn't pay it. The point is, then we would sell that contract. So Sylvia's defaulted branch license agreement, whereby there's a $10,000 debt, we could sell that to you, Eric. So now Sylvia owes you. She doesn't owe us. She owes you. So what would you do? You'd send Sylvia an invoice and say, hey, I now own your debt. You're a third-party debt collector, essentially. You're a debt buyer. You bought the debt. And then you'd ask her to pay. Sylvia is obviously credible. She would pay. She might need to make payments, but she would pay. If she didn't pay, then what would you do? You'd probably then escalate it, send her a demand notice, and then we'd probably progress with reporting that unpaid amount on the debtor's credit. If that still doesn't work, then we would progress to litigating against the debtor in district court, which we can do all those things for you. So the end result is, who knows exactly what percent of the 100,000 of receivables you'll collect, but technically 100,000 is owed to you, and we don't expect 100 cents on the dollar to be collected, but most likely most will. All right, Brenda asked, isn't the business startup package separate from the credit and funding? Well, that's weird, because that's the exact same question that Timothy asked as the first question. So the answer is still yes. It's still separate. It hasn't changed. It's separate. Okay, next. Scripts. Fu's asking about scripts. Absolutely. And so again, go to our YouTube channel, training library. We've gone through scripts. We have scripts ready for you to use. We have, I think, probably just about all training that you could need. So what I would say is anyone that needs some specific training, look at the training library. Now, if you don't see it, then send us an email and we can send you the link to the specific module. And that would be support@guaranteedfunding.org. But absolutely, we've had multiple trainings and given you scripts. Brenda's asking, is credit and funding available to nonprofits? And the answer before was yes, and the answer now is still yes. Trevor's asking about the certification program. Yeah, you'll complete the 10 modules, and then we'll have you complete a PFS, and then you'll take the assessment. Encourage all of you to go through that free training. You'll see that here, small business certification training. Fully grant subsidized, no cost, go through 10 modules. And so we encourage you to go through it. And frankly, if you have clients that you can't sell, you can't close, then you're welcome to have them go through it so they understand the model inside and out. All right. Lon is asking for tips on increasing conversions. Yeah. And so we actually had thought about doing a training on that specifically, but there's a number of ways. So let's say you have a prospect and they're on the fence and they won't close. So typically engaging them frequently is important. Maintain top of mind awareness. Asking them what's keeping you from signing up. What questions or concerns do you have? Being direct. Find out what questions they have that if you could answer, that they would enroll. And then you may want to offer some financial consideration, some sort of prompt pay discount. Now, I know for a fact a number of you are doing this, and I think Kim's doing it. I think Ron might be. I'm not sure how many of you are doing this, but a number of you will say, well, for credit and funding, it's a $2,500 refundable setup fee. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you a $500 discount if you'll go ahead and enroll and pay today. So you take $500 off. Now you've actually grossed up the starting point, and then you've netted out the 500, so you're still back to where you wanted to be. So that would be definitely a best practice that a number of you have done. Kimberly asked nonprofit, and so yeah, it's my fault. It's not Kimberly's fault. I've been asked 4 times now, can we work with nonprofits? Yes. Can we work with nonprofits in the startup package? Yes. Can we work with nonprofits in the credit and funding program? Yes. Can they be in both? Yes. Can they be a nonprofit in both? Yes. So again, that's my fault for not being clearer, but the answer is yes. All right, well, our goal on Fridays is to wrap it up a bit early so we can go out and finish up our week. We had a record-setting month. We did hit 10 million last month in August. Thank you for your contribution to that. We'll see what September turns out, but we want to get you engaged. As long as you make your 100,000 this month, then we're satisfied. We're on track. So each of you have 421 of you on training today. We need each of you to make at least 100,000 this month. That's the goal. So if you're not on track, you've got to let us know. What's the problem? What needs to be done? Because we're here to help. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day, good weekend. We'll see you Monday morning. Bye-bye.